everyone, and welcome to the Contiengecy Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and I'm riding solo today. We're just doing another Star Wars Power Half Hour here on the podcast. Unfortunately, the Darth, he's been pretty busy this week. I've been putting in a lot of OT at the old job, and we just weren't able to connect like we normally do. So, it does happen, unfortunately, from time to time. I have the same issues, and it's just a lot easier for me to kind of sit down at home sometimes on like a random, I don't know, if I know we aren't going to get together, a random like Thursday or something. And I can kind of sit down and put something together because we do want to keep putting the content out there. So here you go. Here we go. Let's see, just a few shameless plugs. Make sure to check out our Facebook page. If you haven't already, hit the old like button. You can leave us your Star Wars stories there. I would like to hear how you guys got into Star Wars. I'd like to chat about it a little bit on the channel if that's okay with you, because everybody's Star Wars story is so unique and different. And if you want to hear my Star Wars story or the Darth's, it is in episode 1. We actually talked about them all the way back then, 51 episodes ago, because this is episode 51. Or if you have a little bit more long-form story, you can email us at tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. This is as much your podcast as ours, so feel free to, shoot us a theory or something you'd like to hear us talk about in our Council or HoloNet series. We'd be more than happy to, put that in here. It's not just a reread podcast, although that is a large part of it. We also like to dive into other thought processes. Now, the Darth is a little bit more versed in the in the going on YouTube and deep dark rabbit holes. Me and myself, I just like to. I like to overthink things on my own. I don't need anybody else to tell me how to overthink. But anyway, so yeah, we'll do a very short council with myself. So this past week, obviously a lot of working. I've been dealing with all the fun adult things that you have to do at work when people don't act like adults. I'm sure most of you can probably relate to that on some level. But I was able to get down to one of our half-price bookstores. So for those of you who don't know, or if I haven't really mentioned this much on the podcast, I'm a huge bookophile. Is that something? I don't know. I love books. I love first edition hardcover books. And more specifically, first edition hardcover books of anything like Star Wars, anything Star Wars. I look for like Lord of the Rings stuff. I look for, other fantasy novels, stuff written by major authors, out there. And I also have a deep love and appreciation for Patrick O'Brian and his nautical novels. So I also look for those as well. But I had a pretty decent haul this past week. See, normally me and my good buddy Ez, who has a new podcast out called Hyperspace Hangout. If you haven't checked out Hyperspace Hangout, you really should. It's a cool concept where they use basically strictly fan interactions to kind of fuel the show. Obviously, they're going to give takes, but they want to get the fans interacted. Or the fans involved in the show. So it's a really neat show. Hopefully you go check that out. So me and Ez have kind of battled it out. Now, when he lived in the area, and unfortunately or fortunately, maybe fortunately for him, unfortunately for me, because he moved a little bit further away, we would compete at the same bookstores. Because there's like basically three within our general vicinity. One of them I really enjoy. One of them's a lot bigger, but doesn't always have a bunch of stuff for some reason, even though it's bigger and has more total books. Doesn't always have things that I look for. And then the other one is really hit or miss, but I have had great success there. So what did I pick up? So let's see here. Well, actually, this one, me and Ez went to a Barnes & Noble. And let's see, Luke Skywalker and the Shadows of Mindor. I've never heard of this one before. And it was just a paperback. And it didn't have the Legends marking, which is what was kind of odd about it. Let's see, when was this written? So it was copyrighted so it was 2008. Yeah, so this is not it's not recent, but it's not like way back. But it doesn't have any Legends markings on it. So I'm kind of really interested to see what the heck this is all about. It looks interesting. The cover's like, here's Luke Skywalker in his pilot's uniform and his lightsaber. There's an explosion in the background. It's great. Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader are dead. The Empire has been toppled by the triumphant Rebel Alliance, and the New Republic is ascendant. But the struggle against the dark side is not over. Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Lando Calrissian, and their faithful comrades have little time to savor victory before being called on to defend the newly liberated galaxy from powerful remnants of the vanquished Empire. The most deadly of these, Legion of black armored stormtroopers, do the brutal bidding of the newly risen warlord Shadow Spawn. Okay. Committing acts of piracy and terrorism, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So the reason this interested me so much is I love books that deal with the aftermath of the Empire, quote, falling. We had the Aftermath series. And then Alphabet Squadron, which I'll talk about here in a second. Alphabet Squadron came out this past month, and that was a big part of why I really, really wanted to read that book, because it was more about after the Empire had fallen. So yeah, Luke Skywalker and the Shadows of Mindor. I don't know. I think that this could be an interesting read. It's got a really cool picture in the back, which I assume is the Shadow Spawn, the Warlord Shadow Spawn. Looks like he's got some very interesting lightsaber. Kind of has, I don't know how to best describe it. It kind of looks like a medieval longsword. He's got a strange squid-shaped hat on. So that should be an interesting read. Look to get into that. Let's see, and that was written by Matthew Stover. So next we got Shadows of the Empire, written by Steve Perry. This was a hardcover. And was this actually first edition? I don't remember. I just thought it was really cool to find. Doesn't look like it. Dang it. Yeah. Oh well, it's cool. So this was from 1996. This should be the front page, the front cover. You've got the Emperor, Darth Vader, Luke, and an alien creature. Let's see if I don't really know too much about this one. Leader of the powerful crime syndicate, he will pit himself against Vader in the favor of their mutual master. Interesting. So this is like let's see. In a time of crisis, Han Solo, frozen in carbonite. Okay, so this is around episode 5. Between 5 and 6, is being taken to the vile gangster Jabba the Hutt. As Princess Leia mounts a rescue mission, Darth Vader scours the galaxy for Luke Skywalker. Another sinister figure emerges, cunning and ruthless, leader of a powerful crime syndicate. He will pit himself against Vader for the favor of their mutual master, the dreaded Emperor. So that's kind of interesting. So we've got some conflict here between Vader and this other guy. I'm down. Let's see. Next up, so I picked up a first edition copy of The Force Awakens novelization. It's funny. I actually don't have all the movies novelization books. I have let's see, episode 1, episode 3. Return. Yeah, I have Return of the Jedi and A New Hope. So I'm missing like the second movies in both the trilogies. So I need to go back and find a couple copies of those. But we got Force Awakens. And I also have Last Jedi, which the Last Jedi novelization, I think I've said this before. The Last Jedi novelization really did contain some really good information I think would have made the movie better. All right. Oh, God, this one. Legacy of the Jedi, a Clone Wars novel. So this has some interesting pictures on the front, which is why I was sort of interested in it. So on the top level, we've got Yoda, we've got Dooku, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan has his sort of episode 2 mullet and, kind of that starter beard. So on the bottom here, we have 2 basically Padawan-looking Jedi. So, but one of them has the curved blade, so I would assume it's... I haven't read this one either. I haven't read a ton of all the books out there, but I've read some. But it has a curved lightsaber hilt, so I'm wondering if that's like a young Dooku, and then maybe this is a young Sifo Dyas or something. Or no, it's not Sifo Dyas. It's a new one. Lorraine Nod is a promising Jedi apprentice. A Padawan named Dooku is his best friend. So Lauren Nod. So we've got a friend of Dooku, obviously not canon anymore because we know his only friend was Sifo Dyas. But anyway, and then you have young Obi-Wan from episode 1 and Anakin from, I guess, yeah, so this would be brain stopped. Anakin from episode 2. You know what? But the interesting thing here is, so Anakin's lightsaber blade is green. Did he ever have a green saber blade? Wow, I don't know about that. So that that was something that caught my eye, and I really just didn't think about that until now. Let's see. I'm actually looking it up because I don't remember him ever having a green. Yeah, he never had a green saber blade. So that was interesting. I think lightsaber lost his blue, but the way Jedi Council green they replaced the lightsaber with one. However, was blue. Anakin replaced when it was green. Well, they say he might have. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that a little bit further because I only really remember him having a blue lightsaber blade. Now, if I were a Jedi out there, I'd definitely have green if I could. That much is for sure. But anyway, so yeah, Legacy of the Jedi. Let's see. Lorraine Nod is a promising Jedi apprentice. A Padawan named Dooku is his best friend. Under the watchful eye of Yoda, they are preparing to become Jedi Knights. Dooku knows their fate is intertwined, yet he is not prepared for a turn of events that reveals the dark side to him for the first time. Years later, Dooku is a Jedi Master, and Lorraine Nod is a pirating outcast. With an unforeseen desire for revenge. Dooku works to thwart his former friend, even if it means crossing his own apprentice, Qui-Gon Jinn. When Qui-Gon himself becomes a Jedi Master, the specter of Lorraine Nod still looms. As Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan Kenobi struggle to find their place as Master and Padawan, they must work together to prevent an interplanetary threat and to outwit a very familiar enemy. So this is actually one that when I saw it on the shelf, I was like, I have to read this because we just recently had Master and Apprentice and Dooku Jedi Lost. And it was one of those strange kind of coincidences when this just comes up on the shelf and you're like, oh, I've got to get that. So this is a first printing August 2003. So this was from 2003. Yeah, it'd been some time ago. So that should be an interesting read. I'd really like to get into that. Next up here, we have one of the Legacy of the Force books. I actually had a couple of these, but they weren't all super nice. This is the second one, I believe, Sacrifice. It's got a nice dust cover on it. You guys must think I'm a huge nerd. He's talking about dust covers and first editions, man. But it's a Star Wars Power half hour, and I can do whatever I want. I feel like I'm going to go over a half hour though. But yeah, again, it is a first edition from 2007. Civil War rages as the Galactic Alliance, led by Cal Omus and the Jedi forces of Luke Skywalker, battles a confederation of breakaway planets that rally to the side of the rebellious Corellia. Suspected of involvement in an assassination plot against Queen Mother Tenel Ka of the Hapes Consortium, Han and Leia Solo are on the run, hunted by none other than their own son, Jason. Should we maybe spoiler alert? Oh, goodness. So, I mean, I don't want to go too crazy here, but there obviously is more literature around the Solos and their children and Luke and Mara and everything, and they cross over into other series, Legacy of the Force being one of them. So I won't read the entire thing there, just in case somebody's on the first reread. But yeah, this has a little bit of a crossover effect. So anyway, but I did want to grab at least one of those books, and I had the really nice dust cover, so I got it. Next up, Star Wars Catalyst, a Rogue One novel. I really wanted to read this. I think I have the audiobook, and I really need to get into it at some point. I just haven't yet. But this is just something that there was seemingly a nice setup piece to Rogue One. And I just thought it would be really cool. So let's see what we got here as far as little synopsis. War is tearing the galaxy apart. You're tearing us apart. For years, the Republic and the Separatists have battled. I was about to say bathed. Oh, they've bathed across the galaxy, battled across the stars, each building more and more deadly technology in an attempt to win the war. As a member of Chancellor Palpatine's top secret Death Star project, Orson Krennic is determined to develop a superweapon before their enemies can. And an old friend of Krennic's, the brilliant scientist Galen Erso, could be the key. Galen's energy-focused research has captured the attention of both Krennic and his foes, making the scientist a crucial pawn in the galactic conflict. But after Krennic rescues Galen, his wife Lyra, and their young daughter Jyn, familiar, Jen Erso, from separatist kidnappers, the Erso family is deeply in Krennic's debt. Krennic then offers Galen an extraordinary opportunity to continue his scientific studies with every resource put utterly at his disposal. While Galen and Lyra believe that his energy research will be used purely in altruistic ways, Krennic has other plans and will finally make the Death Star a reality. Trapped in their benefactor's tightening grip, the Ursos must untangle Krennic's web of deception to save themselves and the galaxy's behalf. So, obviously, the first scene in Rogue One was Galen Erso, his wife, and their young daughter on a little farm, and Krennic comes basically to get him, kills the wife, tries to find Jyn, can't, and takes Galen to essentially force him to complete his research. But we did have a little flashback where they showed him, kind of with Krennic and, a little bit of a different time. So it's interesting. This should be very interesting. Galen Erso was an interesting character. This is the guy that basically gave the rebels the way to destroy the Death Star. So interesting thought point. So the whole deal with Galen is that he wanted his revenge. So he took it. He designed in a flaw in the system that effectively would destroy the Death Star. So if he wouldn't have done that, it wouldn't have been able to happen, potentially. They could have attacked and nothing would have happened. So, I think that, Galen deserves a heck of a lot of credit. And obviously really only being a part of, I think only 2 novelizations. So this one in Rogue One. I don't know if he's really been in any other stories. I'd have to look that up. But I think he's somebody that I would love to hear more about personally. We'll see if you guys think the same, but I do. Next up, I got another hardback first edition of the first Aftermath book. So I really, really enjoyed the Aftermath series, and eventually I would kind of like to get into it in some way, shape, or form, because I think Aftermath deserves a lot more credit than what it gets. And I know that that there's some folks out there who read it, and there was a lot of, I don't want to call it pandering, but they say, well, they're pandering. You had a gay character, more female leadership. And obviously we don't care about that sort of stuff. We've had strong female characters in Star Wars since the beginning. And gay characters, honestly, who cares? I don't. I really don't care. But the characters were really well done in the books in the Aftermath series, and I don't know. I was so into it. And that's actually a group of audiobooks I have not purchased, and I think I really need to, so I can go back through. But yeah, if you haven't read through the Aftermath series, it's really interesting. Again, my interest is because I want to hear more about what happened to the average everyday minutia once the Empire, quote, collapsed. Because when you think about it, Palpatine pretty much held everything together with an iron grip. Well, he's gone. So all of his soldiers, all of his, commanders, all of his admirals and generals or whatever, they're all fragmented. They're all not under that centralized leadership. They all think they can do better. And this also brings up another great character, which, to be honest with you, I was a little angry that we didn't even get a mention of her in The Last Jedi. And that was Admiral Rey Sloane. I thought she was a fantastic character in this book. She essentially is really the large reason why the First Order rose, because she was the one to take, spoilers if you haven't read these books, but she was the one to take, the young Hux, his father, Senior Hux, who was a real, not a great guy, and their, crazy, superhuman children, to take them out into the unknown region and essentially help birth the First Order to come back. So Rey Sloane is a big part of this. I just really wish they would have brought her in, at least like, General Hux, we're getting a communication from Grand Admiral Sloane, or something like that would have just been really, really cool. A couple other little purchases. So I'm not a huge comic book guy. I would like to be, but it's kind of daunting to really start comic books in my opinion. Especially because I'm the kind of guy that I want to read them all like right here, right now. And like you could have a series that has 25, 30, 50, whatever, parts or books. And God, I got to search them all down. It's tough. So I did find a complete series, which is actually somewhat interesting to find at one of these stores. Cause you could just have anything and everything. Like, I didn't like issue 3, so I'm just going to give you issue 3, but I like 4 through whatever. So we have Star Wars: The Old Republic, 5 issues, The Lost Sons, SUNS, not SONS. I haven't seen these. These are based upon the video game, apparently. So I don't know. I just thought it'd be kind of, the covers look awesome. The covers look really cool. Cause the first one I saw was the second book. And I just kind of peeked at it. I was like, holy crap, that looks like Revan. It's not Revan, but I don't know. It could be Revan. I haven't read them yet, but it looked just in glancing, it looked an awful lot like Revan. So anyway, I'm really interested to get into those. I'm just not a huge comic book person. I do enjoy them because I've read some of the Vader comics. I really need to get the last issues of those so I can read through them, but I haven't done that yet. Another incomplete series I got. See, one of my good friends, Lindsay, who is one of the hosts of the Clashing Sabers podcast and Don't Burn the Sacred Text. If you haven't went over to Clashing Sabers, so Clashing Sabers is like a network of different podcasts. There's like 3 or 4 of them on there. Don't Burn the Sacred Text is probably my favorite just because, it's literary. But they also do, like their main show's good. There's Starships, and like I think there's 4. Maybe there's only 3. And then they do some special things here and there. But anyway, Lindsay, she's a comic booker. She likes comic books. So I text her one day. I was like, hey, I kind of want to get into some of these comics. Like, where would you think would be a good starting point? So she recommended the Obi-Wan and Anakin comics, which, I'm kind of tracking down as we speak. And then she also recommended the Shattered Empire. And these were 4 comics that were a part of the release of Force Awakens. So the journey to Star Wars Force Awakens. And I wasn't really looking for them because I figured I'd have to like go online or something. But I wound up finding 2 of them at half price. So issue 2 and issue 3. So I just bought them because they were like $1 or whatever. But yeah, need to find the other ones in that particular series, and I'll get into that a little bit as we go along. One other one, so Alphabet Squadron, that came out, so I ordered that book, got it through, listened to the audio book, and man, if you guys haven't listened to that or read it, do it. It's good. It really is good. And I saw a snippet on Twitter, I believe, that said they are lining up for a second book. So I really, really like the story. Alphabet Squadron. I mean, it's different ships, you know. Why are they Alphabet Squadron? Well, because, you know, there's an X-Wing and an A-Wing and a B-Wing and a C-Wing, not really, a U-Wing and a Y-Wing and all this stuff. So it's a really cool book to stand on its own a little bit. The one thing that I did like is they didn't do a whole bunch of like jumpy. Certain Star Wars books get into these jumpy stories where they might do some completely 2-3 storylines. I'm not a huge fan of that. Now there is a very small bit of that here, but it's not as prevalent as in other books. But anyway, I'm interested to see the follow-up, and I'm interested to see how everything shakes out. Because again, I'm really appreciating Alexander Freed a lot as a writer. Obviously, Claudia Gray, she's way up there with me after Master and Apprentice. Alexander Freed, I'm really digging him as well. I'm really digging as well. So anyway, that one, I don't know. I'm not really sure 100% how that's going to shake out. If the Darth is going to be able to read that, but we will eventually have a read through of that particular book at some point, whether that be with the Darth or possibly with another friend. But I am interested in cracking that open. So, really narrowed down the time. I guess I was talking about books a lot longer than I thought I would. I did want to just, pop into just a wee bit of Star Wars news. There's not a ton. There's still not a ton, but there were a couple of interesting stories. So there was a confirmation that I saw earlier on Facebook where, let's see here. So Daisy Ridley confirmed she won't be in the new Star Wars trilogy. And then there was another article that basically was just titled, I think she couldn't see herself, can't imagine playing Rey after Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. So that could mean a couple of different things. So was there something so bad that happens? Did she get into a little bit of trouble and a little bit of little dark side action there? She turned. Is that Ben's redemption arc? My God, I hope they don't do that. But anyway, yeah, it should be interesting to see. But I think we all kind of know that, like, the D&D trilogy, I think we're all sort of thinking that that's probably Old Republic. Rian Johnson's thing, to be honest with you, that guy, I feel like that could be just something completely random. I would have no idea. But so is the Rey saga also over? So she is a Skywalker and it's over? I don't know. So that was kind of interesting. I love Rey. I don't care what people say. I love Rey. I love Finn. I'm a bit on Poe. I could kind of do without Poe or do with or without Poe. I don't really care. Not to say I don't like the character. It just kind of comes off as a little to me. But I love Finn and Rey. I actually think that they're two extremely positive characters for a franchise like this. I just kind of wanted to see them doing adventures. And then every now and again you hook up with Poe. But we don't always get exactly what we want. And I'm sure that's not what everybody would want. That might just be me out there. But I like Rey, and I think that, there's more that you could do with Rey. I hope that if she's not going to be in any more movies, because I think there was also a rumor that she was potentially being eyed for a Marvel role. But what I would like to see is some more novelization on her, maybe her continued journey if pending what happens in episode 9. So that should be very interesting. Another quick little article here, Darth Bane. So apparently Lucasfilm eyeing Dave Bautista for Darth Bane. All this timely stuff. So I'm actually rereading through Darth Bane series. I want to look... I can't spell worth a crap either. You know how I don't pronounce stuff all that great? Well, my spelling. I swear I graduated high school and did college and all that good stuff. Oh, I can read. I can pronounce stuff. I just like to have the Darth do it. Let's see here. Okay. I was actually looking for his height, to be honest with you. So Darth Bane is a huge, imposing figure, right, in the story. And I think it's really interesting, really interesting to see, kind of, I don't know, what do you do? The origin story? Do you do his entire trilogy? Because that would be awesome. I don't know. I think that'd be cool. But Dave Bautista, so yeah, okay, actually, let me retract that. As they lie in the WWE in wrestling. He's billed at 6'6", so more than likely he's probably like 6'2", 6'4", or something like that. He might be 6'6", I don't know. He's jacked. He's a big dude. But yeah, you know what? I think I could dig it. I think I could see Dave Bautista as Darth Bane. Why not? Yeah, that's cool. I could dig it. But that would be I want to see, is that going to be a movie or a TV series or mini movies or I don't know. But I think the casting seems pretty cool. Tell me what you think about that. Last thing here, because I'm sure you're getting real tired of hearing me talk. This is kind of a comical one. So the headline, Disneyland guests are stealing Star Wars. And they stop it. Stealing Star Wars. Pause. Galaxy's Edge items. And listing them on eBay. Goodness. Why? Apparently it's really random stuff like menus. What do they say here? Free items with meals such as flatware, menus, and coasters. Guys, if you're out there buying menus and coasters from Galaxy's Edge, I don't even want to tell you what I think about that. Just stop it. It's so dumb. Some of the other hot items include maps of the Black Spire Outpost. I could see that possibly. Provided by the park. Reservation cards for Aug's Cantina. Given out as a replace the virtual line. The crew cards of the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run attraction, which designate which guest sits where. Laminated menus. There's a little picture of the menu. Well, that's kind of cool, I guess. It's a menu. Kind of looks like a beat up roll of parchment. But the most notable item, folks, is the spork. I don't remember who was talking about this, but it got brought up about the fact that they're giving these metal sporks, right? Not a spoon, not a fork, it's a spork. God, I would love to have been the guys who made that up. That would have been, oh, geez, what an item. Let's see. Metal sporks providing Docking Bay 7 food and cargo food court, which one seller asking as much as $190s for a single asymmetrical. Oh, that's right. They're asymmetrical. They're not like the sporks we know. They're in a weird shape. Others are asking more than 100. I wonder if this will bring up like a page. Yeah, it brings up the eBay page. Let's see if it's still active. Okay, so people are bidding on it. It's got almost 2 days left. $132.50 for a spork. Oh, you guys you're killing my soul. You're killing my soul. Oh, hey, there we go. There's the Disneyland Diet Coke Galaxy's Edge detonator bottle. You can buy it now for $10, $4.06 shipping. It's a little plastic bottle. And I was commenting to the Darth. So these plastic bottles are what the round bottles are what Coke's been using for years for their Christmas promotions. Obviously, this is painted a different scheme, and it's got a little cap, cool little cap on it. But it's not like we haven't seen Coke run novelty bottles, round bottles. Oh my God, there's a few others here that are like $13.50 plus $14.70 shipping. People are nuts, bro. What is going on? Seriously, what's going on? So the spork. So if you look at this spork, why am I talking about a spork? It's off center. So basically my thought process is that's supposed to be your knife section. So it's off center, kind of looks like a small knife, and then I don't know, whatever. It looks like a funky spork. But yeah, somebody's gonna win that spork. Oh, the original. Okay. So they originally had it listed at $190, and then they must have restarted it as a auction. Gosh. Okie dokie, folks. So that might be about enough of me today. We've ran over our half hour. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I don't know. I was just trying to bring something to you. Next week we should be getting into our recap of the of Dark Tide 1 Onslaught, and then we will be talking about Master and Apprentice. I'm not sure which will come out first. It all really depends on the Darth and what he wants to do. I think he's more of the opinion to do Master and Apprentice, which I'm totally on board for because we kind of need to get that out. It's been a while. But yeah, that's kind of what's on tap, and look forward to potentially some other special announcements as days go by. Might have a couple of things coming up. So stay tuned, and thank you guys very much for listening to these podcasts. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, you guys have a great rest of your week, and as always, may the Force be with you.